Yo, what up? It's your boy Soulo. Now we're back again with another one. And this is going to be about following your inner voice and not getting distracted by artificial things like the external world too much, because we create our world from within. Your thoughts and feelings. This is what the spirit is utilizing to, just to create and experience life, and how we externalize our experience, physically. So your thoughts and feelings are not, physical. They're metaphysical. They're spiritual tools to navigate in the dream world and in the physical world. But I have videos about that and how it's accumulating into physicality. But I'm not gonna get into that in this video. So it's all about, this video is all about following your inner voice and not getting too distracted with the external world. And you might say, oh, the external world is making us, busy. It's, it's making life hard. It's making me not have time for it, this and that. But you got to understand that the external world is, a very high percentage level of synthetic, and it's a lot of distractions. Having to pay bills, work, and taking care of your routine, your family, and things of that nature, because of the system that's making it this way. And that's synthetic by itself alone, having all these troublesome chores and responsibilities, but it has to be done anyways. So at the same time, if that is synthetic, then you need to understand that that inner voice that everybody is having, that's making you wonder, don't ignore that inner voice. You have to speak with it internally. That's your intuition telling you, God reaching out to you, the universe reaching out to you. And it's making you, it's always there. The thought is always there. What if, this and that. So everybody has that inner voice that, that they receive, but a lot of people tend to ignore it because of, fear of the unknown, I guess, or not thinking that it's, not that serious or whatever. But it's not the case, because the inner voice is actually a thing. It's actually everybody receives internally. And that inner voice is what God is trying to guide us towards too. Instead of being distracted with the external world, you have to, experiment with yourself. Experiment with your inner voice, your intuitions. And, like I said, it's up to you to, go down that path and discover a new version of you, a new version of the world, a new possibility, a new experience. And, tapping into that experience is going to be a whole different worldview, a whole different perspective, a whole universal experience of knowledge and wisdom and shit like that. So, that's the great spirit trying to reach out to everybody on some magnitude and level. And, like when people ignore that inner voice and just get too distracted with the external world, this is what gets everybody messed up and synthetic, having fragile egos, big egos, greed, all about the money and bullshit like that. When it's, we can see an example of that with the government, not taking care of their people, the community, and, they're lost in some type of ego. They're lost in some type of, narcissism and shit, things of that nature. Otherwise, they'll quickly fix this situation that we're in. But, we have a lot of they're making this lifestyle, difficult for a lot of people. And like I said, people have no choice but to, get comfortable with how they are getting accustomed with the system, and having to work, having all these responsibilities, like I said, chores, and they don't have time to tap into that inner intuition, that inner voice. And most importantly is your spirituality. And we have to understand ourselves the best way we can, so we can navigate in this external world, so people won't get lost and confused with all these beliefs and biases, and getting lost in clout chasing, money, all these retarded shit that doesn't mean anything at the end. And there's nothing wrong with getting these things, it's just not getting lost in the ego while getting these things. We have to know ourselves and shit like that. But it's all about waking each other up, helping each other, healing, spiritual healing, and things of that nature. And shout out to all my supporters and all my haters out there. It is what it is, and we're gonna keep on going with this shit. More music dropping, more money, and shout out all of y'all. Peace.